Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Shravanam Diaries Podcast.
Hare Krishna, we're continuing to read Bhagavad Gita as it is, the book by His Divine Grace Abhay Charanaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Chapter 5, Karma Yoga, Action in Krishna Consciousness. Texts 8 to 9. Naiva kinchit karomiti yukto manyeta tattvavit pashyan shrinvan spreshan jigran ashnan gachan svapan shvasan pralapan visrijan grinan unmishan nimishan api indriyan indriyartheshu vartanta iti dharayam. Vartanta iti dharayan. Okay. A person in the divine consciousness, although engaged in seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, eating, moving about, sleeping, and breathing, always knows within himself that he actually does nothing at all. Wow, okay. Because while speaking, evacuating, receiving, or opening or closing his eyes, he always knows that only the material senses are engaged with their objects and that he is aloof from them. Haribol. This is a real advanced level. Purport. A person in Krishna consciousness is pure in his existence, and consequently he has nothing to do with any work which depends upon 5 immediate and remote causes: the doer, the work, the situation, the endeavor, and fortune. Wow. This is... oh my goodness, what? A person in Krishna consciousness is pure in his existence and consequently has nothing to do with any work which depends upon 5 immediate and remote causes: the doer, the work, the situation. I mean, we talk about depending on the situations all the time, right? The endeavor and fortune. Fortune, luck. We have nothing to do with that if we are in pure Krishna consciousness. This is because he is engaged in the loving transcendental service of Krishna. Although he appears to be acting with his body and senses, he is always conscious of his actual position, which is spiritual engagement. In material consciousness, the senses are engaged in sense gratification. But in Krishna consciousness, the senses are engaged in the satisfaction of Krishna's senses. Therefore, the Krishna conscious person is always free, even though he appears to be engaged in affairs of the senses. Activities such as seeing and hearing are actions of the senses meant for receiving knowledge, whereas moving, speaking, evacuating, etc. are actions of the senses meant for work. Right, there are senses which are meant for receiving knowledge, and there are working senses. A Krishna conscious person is never affected by the actions of the senses. He knows he cannot perform any act except in the service of the Lord, because he knows that he is the eternal servitor of the Lord. Text 10. Brahmanyadhaya karmani sangam tyaktva karoti yah lipyate nasa papena padma patram ivam bhasa. one who performs his duty without attachment, surrendering the results unto the Supreme Lord, is unaffected by sinful action, as the lotus leaf is untouched by water. Purport. Here, Brahmani means in Krishna consciousness. The material world is a sum total manifestation of the three modes of material nature, technically called the pradhana. The Vedic hymns Sarvam Hyetad Brahma, Mandukya Upanishad 2, Tasmadetad Brahma Namarupam Annam Cha Jayate, Mundaka Upanishad 1.2.10, and in the Bhagavad Gita 14.3, Mama Yonir Mahad Brahma, indicate that everything in the material world is a manifestation of Brahman, and although the effects are differently manifested, they are non-different from the cause. In the Ishopanishad, it is said that everything is related to the Supreme Brahman, or Krishna, and thus everything belongs to him only. So everything is related to the Supreme Brahman, everything belongs to him only. One who knows perfectly well that everything belongs to Krishna, that he is the proprietor of everything, and that therefore everything is engaged in the service of the Lord, naturally has nothing to do with the results of his activities, whether virtuous or sinful. Even one's material body being a gift of the Lord, material body, for carrying out a particular type of action, also very important. Each body acts in a specific, particular type of action, can be engaged in Krishna consciousness. It is then beyond contamination by sinful reactions, exactly as the lotus leaf, though remaining in the water, is not wet. The Lord also says in the Gita 3.30, Mai sarvani karmani sanyasya, resign all works unto me, Krishna. The conclusion is that a person without Krishna consciousness acts according to the concept of the material body and senses. But a person in Krishna consciousness acts according to the knowledge that the body is the property of Krishna, and should therefore be engaged in the service of Krishna. Text 11. Kayena manasa buddhya kevalairindriyairapi Govinda Yogina karma kurvanti sangam tyaktvatma shuddhaye. The yogis, abandoning attachment, act with body, mind, intelligence, and even with the senses, only for the purpose of purification. When one acts in Krishna consciousness for the satisfaction of the senses of purport, this was purport. When one acts in Krishna consciousness for the satisfaction of the senses of Krishna, any action, whether of the body, mind, intelligence, or even the senses, is purified of material contamination. There are no material reactions resulting from the activities of a Krishna conscious person. Therefore, purified activities, which are generally called sadachar, can be easily performed by acting in Krishna consciousness. Shri Rupa Goswami in his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.2.187 describes this as follows. Iha yasya harirdasye karmana manasa gira Nikila svabhyavasthasu jivan mukta sa uchyate. Quote, a person acting in Krishna consciousness, or in other words, in the service of Krishna, with his body, mind, intelligence, and words, is a liberated person even within the material world, although he may be engaged in many so-called material activities. Unquote. He has no false ego, for he does not believe that he is this material body or that he possesses the body. So it's one thing to think that you are this material body. So you can think that you are the spirit soul, but you think that I possess the body. But we need to know that neither are we this material body, nor do we actually possess this body. He knows, continuing, he knows that he is not this body, and that this body does not belong to him. See, this is the next level of spirituality. When he applies everything produced of the body, mind, intelligence, words, life, wealth, etc., whatever he may have within his possession, to Krishna's service, he is at once dovetailed with Krishna. He is one with Krishna and is devoid of the false ego that leads one to believe that he is the body, etc. This is the perfect stage of Krishna consciousness. Haribol. Okay, Jai. Thank you so much for tuning in today. The book links, previous episodes timeline, and biography of the author can be found on shravanamdiaries.com. The link is in the description, and we shall see you tomorrow. Hare Krishna, Hare